The Environmental Protection Agency wants to loosen the air pollution limits on a chemical called ethylene oxide. It plays a crucial role in sterilizing life-saving medical devices, including pacemakers and syringes. But long-term exposure can cause leukemia and other types of cancer among people who work at medical sterilization facilities or live nearby. One of the known sources of emissions of that chemical is St. James Parish, Louisiana, also referred to as Cancer Alley. And nationwide, there are dozens of sterilization facilities that could be affected. CBS News reporter Kati Weis has been following these new developments. Katie, it's fascinating here. First, what would this rollback on the pollution standards for ethylene oxide mean for the community in Louisiana and other areas?
Sure. Well, good evening, Juliet. Yes, this rollback could essentially have implications for communities all across the United States. There are 90 different facilities that use this chemical, ethylene oxide, also known as ETO, to sterilize life-saving medical equipment. Now, ETO is very potent, and so that means it's also really good at killing bacteria. It's used in a variety of ways to sterilize things like syringes, blood bags, and even pacemakers. But because it's so good at killing bacteria, that means it's also good at killing the good cells too. And researchers say that if you're exposed to high levels, especially over a long period of time, it can be extremely dangerous to your health and can cause cancer. Now, so this rollback would essentially apply to a new regulation that was established during President Biden's administration that would have essentially, for a very beginning baseline regulation, required these facilities to monitor the emissions levels around their facilities and to put in more emission protection systems in place to prevent about 90% of the ETO that they use from going out into the air in the nearby community where people nearby would breathe it in. Now, in this Cancer Alley region, just about an hour north of where I'm standing in New Orleans, this Cancer Alley region, researchers just found back in October from researchers from Johns Hopkins University just found that the levels of ETO in that area are 10 times higher than the EPA's recommended limit. That's extremely high and concerning for many people who live there. So researchers with Johns Hopkins tell me that they're extremely concerned about this rollback because it could mean that essentially the people who live there won't have the kind of tools that they'll need to adequately monitor what kind of emissions and levels they're actually breathing. Take a listen.
What happens to that ethylene oxide after the sterilization process is what we're talking about. And so we have the ability to get rid of that or destroy most of that before it gets out into the air and impacts the communities nearby. I think the estimated cost of compliance is something like $43 million, which sounds like a lot, but we sterilize about 2 billion pieces of medical equipment per year. So if you do the math, that's about 2 cents per piece of equipment. The cost of compliance with putting in controls to minimize people's exposure to this gas is 2 cents per piece of medical equipment. We don't even make pennies anymore. So like, this isn't that expensive, but it's just a way to get around the new regulations.
Now, the industry supporting these various facilities around the country said the Advanced Medical Technology Association, they say that these medical sterilizers are important. They provide a vital service and that they appreciate the EPA's efforts in listening to and understanding the importance of supplying safe, sterile medical technology. Juliet?
Katie, what is next for the research on this chemical?
Yeah, so the scientists at Johns Hopkins University tell me they're far from done in terms of researching the air quality in that region. They plan to deploy their air quality mobile van, and they'll be back out there again. Take a listen.
If these rules would have been enforced and put in place, the measurements that we did in Louisiana in 2023, we would have loved to have come back and seen an improvement in air quality and a reduction in the concentration of ethylene oxide if these rules were put in place. Now we can go back and see if things are the same or if they've gotten worse in that same time span. And I would have been much happier to see those concentrations go down than stay the same or get worse.
Now, Juliet, the American Lung Association is calling this rollback, this rule change, unacceptable.
Kati Weis. Katie, thank you.